viewers. My name is Siza Manocha and I represent SafeOKid, one of the largest organizations in India that focuses on safety of children till the age group of 12 years. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a major effect on our lives. Many of us are facing challenges that can be stressful, overwhelming, and cause various implications in both adults and children. Now, when there are talks of COVID third wave and its probability of affecting children, parents are worried the most. While we do not want to create unnecessary panic, but the aim is to ensure that parents are able to take timely steps to boost immunity and health of their kids. Ayurveda has the potential of treating long-standing ailments and can also help in boosting your immune system. Getting the right advice from an expert is very important. So today we have with us Mr. Rajiv Vasudevan, who is an Ayurveda specialist and also a CMD at Ayurveda Hospitals based in Bangalore. He will give us his perspective on the anticipated third wave, which is going to be very challenging for kids, and help us in knowing how can parents and their children help in preparing for the possible third wave.
Wonderful to be here, Siza, with you and the viewers of SafeOKid channel who are looking to educate themselves about the best way to bring up their children in a safe environment. I'm Rajiv Vasudevan. I'm the founder and CEO of Ayurveda Hospitals. We're a chain of Ayurveda hospitals, which is insurance approved, CGHS approved, with 7 hospitals spread across Cochin, Bangalore, Gurgaon, and Almora. We do root cause disease reversal and ensure sustained well-being in a very scientific inpatient and outpatient medical care model. So good to be here, Siza, and go ahead and start shooting the questions. Happy to answer.
Sure. So we have a lot of questions that need to be addressed and we want our viewers to know about it. So my first question is, what's your viewpoint about the possible COVID third wave and its effect on children?
So this question has got 2 parts, Siza. First part is there going to be a COVID third wave, and if it's going to have an effect on children? And what I would say is that the third wave is something that a lot of people are telling to be prepared. In fact, they're telling the third wave, a fourth wave, maybe it's going to be around for up to 2 years. So we can never say with a certainty that it is going to pass away in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 2 months, because over the last 12 months, we have ourselves seen that any prediction is completely, nobody can believe any prediction, right? The predictions have completely been proven wrong overall, right? And therefore, the key message, we should be prepared for a COVID third, fourth, fifth. And if we are lucky, it will stop soon. That is what we should do. Number 2, whether it will affect children, I think all the evidence goes to show that there is no specific additional risk to children on account of any COVID variant or an existing COVID virus children being more susceptible to this. Right from the beginning, all the scientists have been telling that children are probably, or the young youth are less likely to fall prey. But actually in the COVID 2.0, we have seen a lot of younger people also getting it. Possibly what we should conclude from this, human beings at any age and every age are susceptible if they have underlying risk factors, right? So we will come to that in a later course. So I don't think there's an additional risk. In fact, there are papers which have come out which actually say children, when you took the age group of 0 to 12, if you take 0 to 16, which is more classical to define youth, you would say that there are certain inherent protection mechanisms whereby the virus, this particular virus, cannot bind to certain receptors in the body that it is not available amongst children. So the likelihood of children developing severe COVID disease is very, very low. Is the is a general scientific opinion as well.
So, in your opinion, if parents become aware, can they prepare their children in a better way for this predicted third wave?
Absolutely. Parents can prepare, children can prepare, and that is the whole theme. The family is a one unit. How does the family prepare together with greater awareness? Certainly parents can prepare. And the children with greater awareness can become part of their own protection, depending on the age at which they are. If they are very young, of course, they don't understand. But children understand it. Virtually any age, once they start understanding, you can see children at 1.5 years wearing a mask. So children do understand when they see their elders around doing this. So definitely they can prepare, Caesar.
So my next question from you is from Ayurveda perspective, what age groups would you divide 0 to 12 years of children in? And is there any specific advice that you have for different set of age groups?
So see, fundamentally, when you look at children, we could even begin by telling pre-birth, right? What is a fetus? What can a mother do so that the fetus is protected, right? So it starts from there. But from there onwards, once a child is born, the first 12 months is typically a milk feeding period, right? So that first less than 2 months is extremely vulnerable in terms of the ability of the child to digest anything. So what protection can happen after 2 months, then 2 to 12 months, which is basically the breastfeeding period and primarily milk, right? So breastfeeding, and some people go to after 6 months or so to some feeds. But then you have after 12 months, typically in Indian tradition, after 12 months, you go on to the a mixed diet, a weaning off period when you transition from a milk diet to a mixed milk and solid diet. And then after 2 years, by and large, most children go to a solid diet, right? So this is the way we differentiate. So 2 to 5. So 0 to 2 months, 2 to 12 months, 12 months to 5 years, and then 5 to 16, right? Not even 5 to 12. You could take 5 to 12, taking 12 as puberty and post-puberty, because there are some psychological changes happening post-puberty. So I would say 5 to 12 and 12 to 16. And when you take these age groups, what you would realize is that the children are going through different stages of development with different levels of metabolism, the ability to metabolize, with different levels of immunity. Because as you grow older, you're playing outside in the outer place, playing with mud, you're eating various things. So your microbiome is getting, exposed to, your stomach is getting exposed to so many other viruses, and you build a certain natural immunity, right? So children who play outside generally are a lot more having immunity than some child who's sitting in front of the TV and protected. So we have to understand that immunity is exposure to different types of microorganisms, which helps you to develop a natural immunity, plus reducing those factors which reduce one's own immunity, right? So if you look at Ayurveda's role, right, it is not that you go and give one, there are certain specific things that we will talk about, but fundamentally what we have to understand that a healthy child is a child, or a healthy person is a child or a person who has minimum risk factors and has the presence of positive factors. So what are the positive factors? Would be where the child sleeps well, does not have disturbed sleep. Okay, so you'll find some children take a long time to fall, but of course children sleep a lot, but it is a disturbed sleep, right? And the child may be cranky when the child wakes up, etc. So how do I ensure better sleep for the child? Number 2, how is the child's hunger? Does the child eat properly, right? Does the child's motion, is it proper, well-formed? Is there smell? Is there loose motion, right? Is there constipation, right? Things, is there colic? Is there stomach pain the child is facing, which in the early months? Then how is the urination? Is there smell? Is it normal, right? Maybe for most children it is not there, but is the child drinking enough water? Then things like the overall mental state. Is the child cranky? Or is the child overall a happy child, right? So there's nothing good or bad. These are the facts of nature. Children grow through different phases. There are natural traits. We have to look at what is the nature of the child and then do our best to ensure that if there is something which is, the child is restless, how do I calm down the child? The child has constipation, what do I do to reduce constipation? If the child has got loose motion, what do I do to correct it? So fundamentally, the first line of attack is to ensure that the immunity of the child is not by giving one vitamin tablet or giving that tablet or this medicine. It's about the right set of functional attributes. The child's function is to be seen. The other part that you often see in children from 0 to 5, and particularly many Indian traditions, we feed the child too much. So there is an overfeeding of child in the early years. And we have to understand that this has an implication from both an urban child and a rural child, right? There are many rural children who are underfed, right? Or even urban poor who are underfed. And then you have the urban rich and the middle class who are overfed. So particularly with COVID now, what is happening is children are at home, they are online, so many hours of the day between school and between watching TV and the rest of that. External activities have reduced. The food input is the same. The output of energy is much lesser. So therefore what happens? Children are tending to not just put on weight, that is a visible symptom outside, but the metabolism goes down. So you'll see children who are extremely chubby, and mothers want the children to be chubby and, chubby cheeks and the rest of that. The child's health actually, if the child is not eating properly, so the key thing to realize, parents should look till the age of 5 years when they're supervising the toilet of the children, they should look out for the stools of the child. Just by looking at the stools of the child, a parent can have complete education on the health of the child. Okay, so this is something that Ayurveda brings a particular set of observational capabilities. So if the child's stools are constipated, if the child is straining to pass, if it's loose motion, is it colored, is it yellow, is it blackish tendency, is it is there any blood coming out with dry blood? All of this you can make out what's happening in the tract. The other part, is it too sticky? If it is too sticky, I'm giving too oily food. The child is not able to digest. So this is one way to look at it. The other part really is, how does a child, when the food is given, does the child go, Amma, I want more. Ma, I want more. Right? And is eating nice, healthy food. Right? Is that happening? So this we need to see. Also, the mothers and the parents should look at undigested food, which is going out. Right? So if I see this, we have to understand one very, 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 I keep repeating very, very, so that the emphasis is very clear. Very important to look at the type of food the child is having, right? So up to 2 years, I'm very careful. I keep giving baby feeds, and always remember natural food, cooked food, right? Properly cooked food is good for children. Not too much of oil, not too much of masala, not too much of taste. Processed foods completely to be avoided for children. So people are at home, both the mother and the father should take effort to make fresh food. Between a juice and an apple, to take proper, between apple juice or a tomato, anything, rather than having a processed food, eat it natural. That is better for the child, right? And better for everybody for that matter. But the point is, don't eat raw things, not good for anybody. And going back to the type of food, as I told, if the parents are able to ensure that chips and potato chips and wafers and Lays and the rest of that, any type of snacks, if you have to insist on some snacks to make it tasty, make fresh sticks. In fresh oil, make some proper snacks for your children and give it to them, right? Whatever our traditional snacks are there, allow it every day. And then, they should eat it in not disproportionate manner. They should eat what is, proper. If they eat a heavy snack, then the dinner should be light. So always for children, keep the dinner light, right? Breakfast and lunch is good. If they want to have an evening snack, that is good. But dinner should always be light. The other part to remember, that children have a certain prakriti, right? So it is the inherent constitution of the child. You can make out the full prakriti only by the time the child is 25 years old. So what do you do with 5 years and 12-year-old kids? So we have to understand that a 5-year-old, 2-year-old, 5-year-old, etc., tendency, that is a stage of life, which is the Kabha stage of life, which is, I won't go too much into detail, it's a growth stage of life. So during a growth stage of life, if a child compared to the other children in the family or neighborhood is more chubby, more fat, etc., you know there's a height weight chart your pediatrician will show you. If the child is disproportionately there, you are building up a risk. Because the moment I'm putting on overweight, what it means is that it's not very important to understand. It is not about the quantum of food that I'm eating. It's also the fact that the food I'm eating is not fully digested and is not fully excreted. So what is remaining is getting accumulated in my body as fat. So this thing which is there is surely, if I get childhood obesity, very high chance of later on diabetes coming, later on the child having puberty early. So a child who should attain puberty at 12 years, getting puberty at 8 and 9 years, which is a very common thing today amongst girls, right? They don't play, and then the height increase goes down because they don't put on height. They attain puberty at a younger age, they don't put on height. So all this is very clearly given. So never overfeed. Feed what is required. If the child is losing weight, you're not feeding enough. So therefore, the key thing to remember is in the first 5 years is the real heavy growth phase of life, and that goes on till 20 or 18, right? I'm going to keep on growing there, right? And there are spurts of growth. But particularly for the first 5 years, it's important to not allow your child to be overweight. There's no reason to get the child overweight, whether boy or girl. Keep them the right weight, right? That's the healthiest child. Child will be physically active, mentally active, etc. Now, once a child has gone beyond 5 years, typically what happens, by then the bacha bad gaya hai, right? The mother and father is now cool. Bacha to bach gaya, abhi 5 saal ka ho gaya. So the child is now in good shape, right? My concerns are over. I don't overfeed. Now what happens is the kid is going to get on to a same diet which the parents are eating. This is a very important thing. If the parents have a very indisciplined diet and lifestyle, the child is going to get the parents' diet and lifestyle. Correct? So that's what is going to happen, where the child is going to copy the father or the mother and follow all the same things. Khana, the eating time, the sleeping time, the TV watching habits, every single thing they'll copy from there. So 5 to 12, pre-puberty, again it becomes very important. The parents, they have to show by example. It's ki bache tu ye mat kha, but they themselves are eating, right? There's no point. It's a family culture. So the other point to remember, health begins at the dining table, right? People think ki mujhe ye immunity tablet do, give me. It's not that. It all begins at the dining table. So if I am very conscious, and most mothers in particular and fathers also are very health conscious today, right? They're very health conscious today because they don't want, the children, they want to give them the very best. They'll go and take organic food. They'll take this new Italian thing, that thing, this thing. Please remember one thing. The best food for us is our traditional food, right? I give olive oil. I can apply it on somebody who says, "Achha hai sarson ka te," yeah, if you're from South India, til ka te, or you're North India, til, yeah, this thing. But the point I'm coming to, if I take olive oil because some magazine is telling olive oil is good for skin, etc., that's theek hai, chalo, for external thing you can let go. But for internal consumption, never make the mistake of taking a foreigner's oil and putting it here. Our traditional oils are the very, very best for our folk. So if I'm a Punjabi, eat the oil which my Punjabi ancestors ate, give it to my child, right? Because his digestive capability is suited for that. This is the one thing. Now, so whether I'm giving, somebody gives garlic bread and pizzas and the rest of that, it's okay once in a while, right? You want to have a party, you want to enjoy, it's fine. But if you have a heavy meal, ensure the child drinks hot water after that. To enable that hot water will help to digest the cheese. So whenever any child has a heavy meal, teach them right from a young age, beta, thoda garam pani pi. Right? What is happening today with heavy food? I'll drink a Coca-Cola. I'll drink an iced tea. Right? I'll have an ice cream. Ice cream is very heavy. So remember, up to 5 years, certainly, dahi should be minimized. I hope you hear me.
Yes.
Ghar ka bana hua theek hai, but bahar ka kharida hua completely avoid. And बच्चों के लिए in particular, and any child which is obese, avoid reduced milk products, because today's milk, normally what you get from the dairy, right, whether it is your Delhi ka dairy or your South Indian dairies, is not natural milk. It is mostly fats mixed in hot water and given every day morning, fat powder. So these things are only going to put on weight. So if you want to give milk to your child, it's better to go and get select milk. Don't give milk in the night. If you have to give milk in the night, there is a tradition, then mix adrak, that is the dry ginger, and put some haldi in it. Naito, they will get respiratory issues more easily. Particularly in COVID times, avoid milk products in the night. Avoid dahi in the night. If you want to give chas or buttermilk. The other part to remember is if some children are inherently tending towards asthma, right? They have respiratory issues. You have to take extra care during this period, right? All the precautions to be taken. So the age-wise, you have to tell them pre-puberty, I told 5 to 12, right? That is still a pretty good phase. A child is stable. When you come to puberty, please remember Ayurveda right from 3,000 years back always said focus around the Ritu Sandhis. That means the change of seasons. So that allows you to look at it very nicely, right? You can look at dawn and dusk, right? You can look at lunch, khana and khana ke baad, this is a Ritu Sandhi. You can look at the seasons. From summer, you'll enter monsoon. So Ritu Sandhis have to be careful. Because the body, it's not just the body, it's the body and the environment, and I'm going through a certain change. So it allows me to prepare for the Ritu Sandhi. Then the connected point is age, the time of age. So I am first 2 years is clear, first 2 months, then Ritu Sandhi. 2 months to 12 months, Ritu Sandhi. Right, at the end of 12 months. Then from 2 years, from 12 months to 5 years is one phase. At around 5 years, I've stabilized. Then at puberty, when I go through puberty, again, I'm going through a Ritu Sandhi, right? So at these Sandhis, I take care, right? So because it is not just physical changes, it is mental changes. And please understand, when you look at immunity, etc., we're also talking about the mental component. We're also, one is we are talking about protecting against COVID, but we should also be thinking in terms of enhancing health, right? Why should I do something only to protect from COVID? When I'm doing it, I should look at how do I enhance the health of my child. So these are the habits which are not only COVID protective, but also health promotive. Whatever I'm telling, right? This will generally do. So this is the overall part. Now, specific to COVID, there are things which are there, but I will, maybe you have some questions for me. I will respond to that, Caesar.
Like during this second wave also, and we've also spoken with various doctors, and we've come to know that obesity also plays a role in making COVID infections more severe. So how can this be rectified through Ayurveda, and how can parents know that their kid is obese? This is a very prominent question that parents have कि हमें पता कैसे चले कि हमारा बच्चा obese है?
वो तो simple चीज है. Obesity तो बहुत, there are clear definitions which is there, which is 18 to 22 BMI, body mass index, which is you take your weight in kilos and divide by your height in meters, right? So if the child is 1 meter tall and the weight is, let's say, 30 kilos or 40 kilos, right? For a 1 meter kid, high kid, the weight should, if it is 30 kilos and more, the child is obese. Because you can do that calculation, it's very much available. So similarly, weight around the waist and the chest, chubby chest and chubby stomach, etc. The whole body is chubby. So it's a simple part. You take the BMI, there's a clear definition. But the larger part, which I will tell you, a kid who's sluggish, wants to sit down, doesn't want physical activity, right? Always snack leke TV ke aage baitho, right? Always wants computer games only, does not like this thing. And very important, this is the age when parents say, ghar pe baitha hai, TV dekhne do, computer game khelne do. The more you allow your child to get into an artificial world, what am I doing? There are some games which are good for children, right? because it allows you to stimulate certain thoughts. But by and large, what I'm doing is I'm allowing the child to keep escaping into another world. So parents should always ensure, particularly young children, they should feed the children, they should be with the child, engage with the child, even at home, right? So, and this load should be distributed equally between mother and father. It's a great way to bond and to ensure that in future, the father and mother are able to really use this time to build great conversations, right, with their children and talk about different things. Or the family, as you told, at the dining table, everybody sitting together and eating. It's a great opportunity to do that. Why I'm bringing this up, COVID times, in normal times itself, this is important. But I'm stressing this, that in COVID times, this is of paramount importance, because if you don't do that, the child is losing track and, is getting disconnected, right? So this video should be seen more by parents and not by children at all, right? And then, keep the TV, everything very clearly rationed. So the question about obesity is the result of multiple factors, right? What type of food I'm eating, when I'm eating, right? The same food, how I cook. If you ask me, is potato good or is chicken good or is that good or this good? It's not just the item which is good or bad. Can I digest it and how I cook it, right? So the same thing when I cook in a particular way can become very unhealthy. The same way I cook different things can become healthy. The food, what time I eat can become healthy or unhealthy, right? With what I. So all of this, people should be aware. And I would say, let us not get obsessed with one term, one word. It is the totality of all these factors which constitutes good health.
So my next question from you is malnutrition or undernourishment can also aggravate the situation and can also hamper the immune system of children. So what are your advices for those set of children who are suffering from undernourishment or are suffering from malnutrition?
Yeah, so this is a very serious issue amongst the urban poor and the rural kids in general. But when you look at malnourishment, there is a misconception very often that it is because of food not being available sufficiently. Okay? So you say, give every child an egg and give the noonday meal scheme, give eggs, give milk, etc. That is certainly one factor. When parents don't have money, they don't have money to feed their children. So the parents are malnourished, children are malnourished, the mothers who are breastfeeding are malnourished, so they don't give enough nutrients to children. This is a clear factor. But you have to understand one thing very clearly. It is also that the poor are equally prone to bad dietary habits. One part. They eat the same junk food that the urban rich eat. It's only that the urban rich go to a McDonald's and eat it. They may not like my fact calling that junk food. It's okay once in a while, but if I eat processed food all the time, it is junk food. So if I take this, a rich person may eat from one place, a poor person will take it from the roadside, and that both are equally bad. But the other part about malnutrition, which is very important in the poor, is a lowered Agni, the lowered metabolism. So the child is not able to absorb the food which the child is eating. This is very, very common in poorer communities. So even if I give the food, right, I give good food, the child is not able to absorb the nutrients. So we need to correct the overall metabolism. That is not being focused upon. We are just telling, give every child this thing. So definitely a malnourished child will be not sleeping well, will not have good immunity. Those issues are there. But we should not take it again with a single thing, one answer. We should look at it in a little bit more comprehensive way and then see how do we strengthen overall metabolism and those other health parameters that I spoke about.
So my next question is, are there any specific medical conditions to keep in mind before following this advice?
Yeah, if the child is having any particular medical conditions, they should definitely consult an Ayurveda doctor to ensure that whatever that they may be consuming, right, to help them is appropriate for the condition that they're faced with, right? So it should not do that for one thing I'm treating for one thing should cause something else. But one good fortunate thing is that children, by and large, unless they are born with some serious issues, are in general healthy children. But with the COVID lockdown, they may be stuck at home and, therefore have developed certain risk factors. So If the child has got some health problem, always consult a doctor. But in general, I think there are certain things to keep in mind. And this has come very apparent in recent times. In the last 2 to 3 weeks' time, one thing is very clear, that the virus is airborne, right? So what it means is, it is left in the environment, even if the person who is the carrier of the virus has left the place. So one key message I want to give is that at homes, right, we should keep the doors and windows always open. Keep the fan and circulation on all the time. If there is no natural ventilation, fix exhaust fans or some type of fans which will move air through the house. So natural ventilation is extremely important in the house. That is one biggest protection for all children, particularly where the young child is sleeping. Ensure proper ventilation. Don't say protect and keep keep all the windows and doors closed. That is the highest risk, because any contamination comes, it will remain there and the child will get infected. Number one. Number two, so that means if somebody from outside comes, ensure that you are meeting the person in a well-ventilated area. Don't come to a closed area, right? You could keep blowers. Don't use air conditioning where the room is completely closed. Keep it open. Allow maximum airflow, right? Suffer the heat more than suffering COVID. The other thing is that in general, and there are dhupanas you can do. You can get these churnas, aparajita dhuma. You can get these churnas in the market. If you don't get that, use traditional dhupanams that you fumigate the house. So what will happen is, once you fumigate, right, in the morning and evening, naturally that fumigation will ensure that the hot air will go to the top and be flushed out with cold air coming in, and the house will get cleansed. So wherever there's a risk that is there, do dhupan is very common. Then in Ayurveda is a very good immunity building practice called Swarna Prashna, right? So this is done in many traditional communities on a particular nakshatra every month. It's called Pusha Nakshatra. Some traditions do it every day. The mother will give, after the morning bath, will give a little bit of vacha. There is a vacha churna or vacha, the twig is there. So vacha churna along with honey, with Swarna Bhasma, right? And a little Brahmi Ghritam, right? This is very good for immunity, right? And very good for improving intelligence of the child. It reduces kabha. I told you earlier about those issues with, respiratory issues. All of that, right? When you give this, the proportion of Ghrita, of course, will go down if I've got respiratory issues. But this is good for immunity and good for intelligence of the child. So up to 5 years, even later, and you can begin with a newborn. Virtually newborn, you can give this for immunity building. So check out with a good Ayurveda doctor in your vicinity, or check out with your Dadima. The Dadima should definitely know this practice which is there. And then finally, I would just say that there are things like, there is a very famous, Prakara Yoga, which is a complete set of medicines which is used for children, which is given in a famous pediatric treatise called Kalpadruma, the Arogya Kalpadruma, which is laid out for 0 to 12 years, exactly the age that SafeForKid is looking at. What should be done for children through these ages to build immunity in general and good health in general.
So you shared many quick advices in the end,
yeah.
But still I have because I want to know more and I want our viewers to also know more. If you can share some quick advices which can say which can be a healer for maybe kids who contract the virus, or maybe in their families, that can work as a quick tip. If you have them, you can share.
Yeah. So I think one thing I would say is that we have a questionnaire which allows us to the parents to fill up the questionnaire and then to know the COVID risk patterns. Rather than give one set of medicines, what we do at Ayurveda is we are able to customize the preventive package. So this is completely free. We'll be able to share the link in due course and separately. One is that they could either meet a good Ayurveda physician, say what is it specifically for me or my child, right? Because no two people are the same. And within one family, there are 4 or 5 constitutions. There are broadly 7 types of prakritis, combinations of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, broadly. So, and then one is prakriti. Then we have what is called vikriti. What are the deviations? So A good Ayurveda doctor will consider the Prakriti, the Vikriti, the place. What I give in Bangalore cannot be, it's monsoon here. It's apparently raining in Delhi also. But if it's dry heat there, I don't give what I give in Bangalore in the month of June in Delhi. So therefore, the doctor will look at Desha, it will look at Kala, the time of season, right? And look at the Rogi Bala, how healthy is a kid. So the medicines will change the dosage form. Do I give an Arishta for a kid, or do I give a Churna with ghee, or do I give a Kashaya? All of this will decide on the kid. So always consult a good Ayurveda doctor. No easy tips. Sorry, ma'am, I can't give you these easy pills because kids are the most important resource. We should not take shortcuts. Anybody giving you shortcuts is wrong, right? I put it emphatically. The only good protection you can do, ensure the child has good sleep, good digestion, good appetite, good motion, good urination, and is calm and happy, right? This is what you can do. If your child has got this, you don't have to worry about any vice. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Vasudevan, for coming on our show. And I think our viewers are, you can say, pretty much enlightened through this video, and they will follow the advices that you've given today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Namaste to you and to everybody who's with SafeFoKid. Thank you.